Hello, my name is Gabrielle Pena, and I will be discussing my paper entitled The Importance of LGBTQIA+ Representation in Children's Cartoons. As the world changes, our television programs are beginning to break barriers with their content. Once considered taboo, many child-friendly shows now explore themes of sexuality, mental health awareness, gender identity, and interracial relationships, among others. This paper uses the expressive theory of art criticism to compare and contrast the presentation of empathy, friendship, and love as motivating forces in two animated shows, Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. The inclusion of these topics in children's shows can positively influence children and the way they react to relationships and people who live like these characters in their real lives. Cartoons are not the first thing that comes to mind when thinking of education, but in this rapidly growing age of technology, changes are inevitable. Teachers are integrating lessons in their classrooms with cartoons as a means of education. According to Ian McAlvary, in Using Cartoons to Teach Students About Stereotypes and Discrimination, he says, cartoons may help students determine and analyze prejudiced behaviors, phenomena, and events. This shows that the use of cartoons and early exposure to these social issues can help shape children's reactions into something more positive. Children often need an outlet for their thoughts and feelings that are hurtful and uneducated. Cartoons can be a way for them to project their prejudices without harm being done and with the benefit of learning from it. In the use of cartoons in elementary classrooms, Emin Ibili and Sami Sahin refer to Turkmen, saying, "Cartoons are a door which opens to the imaginary world from the real world and explain how children can fictionalize themselves in this realm freely. They then transfer what they learn or see in this fictionalized world into the real world. So it's possible to shape the children and, in a sense, their way of life through the world of cartoons." This shows the influence cartoons have on opening the minds of children. Research on gender representation in children's cartoons has shown significant change towards a less stereotypical portrayal of the characters, particularly female characters. According to Gender Roles in Animated Cartoons, Has the Picture Changed in 20 Years? By Teresa Thompson and Eugenia Zerbino. This shows how media is moving towards a more progressive view of previously stereotyped and marginalized groups. This is important because the media heavily influences opinions with the potential to eliminate stigmas, stereotypes, and prejudices against ostracized groups. Although Thompson and Zerbino's writing focuses on gender roles, one can see that it is a useful framework to analyze representations and issues of sexuality, race, and gender identity in cartoons. Until recently, animated shows avoided representing their main characters as people who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. They also avoided the subject of heavy emotional trauma that may cause serious mental and physical health problems in protagonists. We are seeing more inclusivity these days due to the members of minority groups increasingly becoming directors of their own shows, allowing them to reflect on their own experiences and inform their show's content. A form of catharsis, essentially self-care, that allows content creators to purge their tragedies to spectators. One gets a glimpse of the creator of Steven Universe, Rebecca Sugar, who identifies as queer in her queer characters. Sugar is also in an interracial marriage, and when representations of interracial relationships appear in the show, her perspective is conveyed. Noelle Stevenson, the creator of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, is a lesbian who openly says that She-Ra was a big part of her exploration of herself and sexuality. Stevenson grew up with no positive representations of queer characters to look up to and make her feel normal. She wanted to create art in order to inspire other children. Both show creators utilize empathy, friendship, and love to express themselves and disrupt what is seen as the norm of child-friendly animation through the inclusion of a spectrum of sexualities, interracial couples, and gender identities. In the show Steven Universe, Rebecca Sugar seems to use expressive theory to explore empathy through her main characters, Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, and Steven. Often confused with sympathy, Lysane Falvel defines empathy in her dissertation, The Archaeology of Empathy, as the understanding or even the sharing of other people's emotions. Empathy links to humanity and is a foundation of why we care. Steven Universe, the movie, in its entirety, is about Steven being understanding and validating of the antagonist Spinell's emotions. Both characters have been hurt by the same person and feel abandoned. Steven uses this pain to help right all the wrongs his mother left behind, while Spinell uses her pain to fuel her rage and vengeance to cope with her feelings of being forgotten. Through the power of friendship and understanding, Steven helps her find her place in the universe again, making her feel complete. The portrayal of empathy and friendship in the movie shows viewers that love wins in the end. Sugar encourages her audience to view situations from others' points of view, to understand them and work together to overcome trauma. She makes it clear that it is okay to not be okay, and seeking help for mental, physical, and emotional problems is healthy. The show Steven Universe focuses on friendship and cooperation. Steven's friends, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl, were the first friends and battlefield teammates of his mother, so he inherited them in a way. Sugar addresses friendship through expressive theory in her animated show by showing each character's troubled past and how they came to find each other. Viewers begin to personally relate to the characters, creating deep emotional attachment. Pathos is often evoked in relationships such as friendships and familial bonds, which are forged so deeply between these characters that they are willing to risk themselves to save each other and the world. This group of friends go through many trials and tribulations, but always come out okay when they realize they can rely on each other for help. A positive view of friendship and the struggles that come along with it, this animated cartoon also teaches children lessons on accountability, communication, and persistence. In terms of love, Steven Universe has one of the most diverse cast of characters and love interests. This show made history by animating the first mainstream lesbian wedding, which occurred between Ruby and Sapphire. Their love takes the physical form of the character Garnet, one of the most powerful, level-headed, and kind characters on the show. The main character, Steven, and his girlfriend Connie are a mixed-race couple. Their love manifests into the fusion named Stevani, who identifies as non-binary. Love is addressed in Steven Universe as something sacred. There is no objections or negative reactions to any of the characters' identities or sexualities, as everyone is treated normally and respected. These positive portrayals of different romantic relationships, gender identities, and sexual orientations influence audience to be open-minded and more accepting towards the LGBTQIA+ community, other races, and people that are just generally different from them. However, the absence of a negative reaction might be a missed opportunity to demonstrate a lesson or teachable moment. As previously mentioned, Steven Universe also focuses heavily on self-love through an emotional journey with Pearl, who devoted her very existence to Rose, a woman she loved but was left behind by. She did everything for Rose to the point of dying. Steven helped her understand self-love, and now she is happier than ever before. This is a great inspiration for young viewers who are uncertain of their place in the world or have insecurities holding them back from living life. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, much like Steven Universe, use expressive theory to address Empathy, friendship, and love, teaching children positive lessons. The main protagonist is Adora, who shows empathy to her antagonist and former friend Katra. This duo is similar compared to Steven and Spinel in that they are enemies for some time but later become friends. Adora can empathize with Katra to a certain extent because they are raised in the same training facility, but Katra was always a misfit. There is a similar theme of abandonment when Adora leaves Katra behind to fight on the other side of the war. However, the shows are different in their message and delivery. While the characters might have gone through similar misfortunes, they often do not try to look at things from other people's perspectives, which is why Katra and Adora remain enemies for so long. Katra's stubbornness causes her much turmoil that could have been avoided. This was not a message to reach out for help, but letting someone go through their rough patches to find their path to happiness. Not everyone experiences the same trauma or deals with it similarly, so it is important that She-Ra and the Princesses of Power offers a different perspective from Steven Universe. Friendships are portrayed differently in She-Ra and the Princesses of Power compared to Steven Universe because in She-Ra, the development of friendship took much more work. In the former, it took time for friendships to develop since the main character, Adora, was initially on the wrong side of the war. On the other hand, the friendships in the later was already established by Steven's mother. Seeing the development of Adora's acceptance was heartwarming to audiences, considering she came from a cold, strict, and unloving background. These main characters, Steven and Adora, are also similar in that they befriend people who were once enemies and work together with them. Stevenson addresses friendship in her show by emphasizing that it can take time. This kind of portrayal can foster patience in children and have a positive effect on their behavioral skills. As in Steven Universe, love is diverse in She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Although most of the characters are female, the couples consist of lesbians, heterosexual, and gay couples. Adora and Katra go through many stages of their relationship, which changes from friends to enemies, back to friends, and then to lovers. Fluid love can be between friends and can blossom from rivalry, or it can be between races and people of the same sex. Sexuality is represented in a positive way, showing that there is nothing wrong with being LGBTQIA+. This is a great message for children because it can educate them about the spectrum of sexuality and identity and shape their own identity. People often recognize their sexual orientation at a young age, so shows like Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power can help children figure out who they are. Worrisome, though, is the love that blossoms between Katra and Adora, where a negative trope is portrayed. If someone is mean to you, they probably like you. Many adults say this to children, and it enables the normalization of domestic abuse. Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power have a lot of similarities, but their differences, even if slight, are very important in giving a variety of representation. For example, I mentioned that both shows have LGBTQIA+ romantic love, but Steven Universe also includes self-love that blossoms throughout the seasons. This small difference of love is so important for children to observe and absorb so that they can practice it in their own lives. Self-love is crucial for mental health and general well-being and is not limited to how one treats oneself. It also has to do with one's thoughts and feelings about oneself. So being able to witness Pearl's growth is a great tool to encourage children to go on their own journey. Self-love comes in many different forms, and for Sugar and Stevenson, art happens to be one of their outlets. It is no surprise that Rebecca Sugar and Noelle Stevenson use their personal experiences to inform their art and connect with their audiences. Mark Pearson and Helen Wilson quote Ullman in their book, Using Expressive Arts to Work with the Mind, Body, and Emotions, Theory and Practice, where Ullman defines the arts as a way of bringing order out of chaos and emphasizing the healing quality and creative process. So by including their personal experiences or desires, the creators are able to channel their trauma and or desires into a work of art. Pearson and Wilson add, providing a safe, accepted avenue for a cathartic outlet, drawing increases spontaneity and allows access to unconscious material that may otherwise be too threatening or too difficult to express verbally. Watching cartoons can also inspire children to create art. Indeed, the creators and networks even encourage their fans to submit their own work to be featured on or between shows. Expressive theory is just one tool to analyze how these two animated shows, Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, address empathy, friendship, and love. The show's creators, Rebecca Sugar and Noelle Stevenson, respectively, address in different ways taboo topics like sexuality, gender identity, and interracial relationships for children. Cartoons are very inspiring and have many benefits in childhood education, self-expression, and behavior. Now more than ever, stereotypical depictions are being challenged in the media, and more diverse representation is helping to open up closed minds. Cartoons like Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power are important in creating a diverse and tolerant society. Thank you.